I want to follow up on Chris's question because I'm a bit confused. You say migration in this country under the Tories is unforgivable. You said borders are one of your top 2 priorities. You put tackling small boats into your mission promises before the election, adding it to your 5 missions. And yet on the banners behind you, there's nothing there. In the 6 milestones of measurement, there's nothing there. So you have not given the public one metric on which to measure you when it comes to migration. Is that because you fear failure, or is it because you said it was a priority to win, but actually it's not even in your top?
Just recently, Keir Starmer was left visibly startled and speechless when confronted with tough questions. He arrived prepared to promote his so-called grand policies to transform Britain, but he did not expect journalists to challenge him so directly. Instead of quietly accepting his proposals as fact, they pressed him with some of the most pointed and difficult questions he has faced. Starmer appeared uncomfortable and uneasy, shifting his stance, and at times falling silent. The questioning did not ease. He was pushed further, cornered by follow-ups that demanded clear answers. The exchange later drew criticism even from former Labour advisers, who suggested he had failed to handle the pressure effectively. His body language seemed to betray uncertainty, reinforcing the impression that he was struggling under scrutiny. But how did it unfold in that way? In this video, we break it down. One of the key issues on which Starmer was intensely grilled was immigration.
BBC News, you've set out these milestones this morning. Immigration isn't one of them, but you have talked about it and it is in the document. And so people might wonder whether it's a priority or not. Thank you.
There are basics in government. One of them is security and security of our borders. And they're foundational. And they must be delivered.
At his plan for change announcement, Keir Starmer noticeably avoided placing immigration at the forefront of his 6 key milestones, despite its central role in British political debate. Rather than offering clear policy direction or measurable commitments, his response drifted around the subject, relying on carefully crafted but vague language that sounded meaningful while avoiding firm detail. Journalists quickly sensed what he was doing. They recognized the familiar tactic of doublespeak, using ambiguous phrasing to blur specific positions. When Chris Mason of BBC News asked why immigration was missing from the core milestones, Starmer faced a direct and uncomfortable challenge. Mason pointed out the inconsistency. If immigration was important enough to appear in the wider plan for change document, why was it not included as a clear benchmark by which voters could judge success?
Fixing the foundations is like finding damp in your wall. You can paint over it and get the hairdryer out and dry it. All done that. Hope it goes away. Or you can strip it out, rip out the plaster, and deal with the problem once and for all. But unless we fundamentally reform the way government goes about its business, unless we first change how we try to change the country, then the hairdryer is all we've got.
This placed Keir Starmer in a difficult position. With limited room to maneuver, he leaned on broad examples and loosely connected terms, buying time and creating the impression that he had provided a full explanation. By excluding immigration from the milestones, he risked appearing to downplay an issue many voters see as urgent. Yet including it directly would have required firm promises, exposing him to criticism from both sides of the debate. Starmer responded by reframing immigration as a foundational matter rather than a specific milestone or mission. He argued that border security and immigration control are basic duties of any government, what he described as core principles. In doing so, he avoided committing to precise targets or timelines. Instead, he stated in general terms that both legal and illegal immigration would be reduced, without outlining a detailed plan or measurable benchmarks.
There are basics in government. One of them is security and security of our borders. And they're foundational. And they must be delivered. So immigration and control of immigration must be delivered. That is a foundational principle. that any government...
This approach suggests a calculated effort to avoid political risk. Immigration remains one of the most contentious issues in UK politics, and addressing it directly could alienate progressive voters who support a more open system or trigger backlash from those demanding tougher controls. By presenting it as a foundational principle, Keir Starmer acknowledged the issue while steering clear of the divisive details that might weaken his broader appeal.
If he wants to know what Conservatives would do, he should resign and find out. Until then...
I'll decide when there's more.
Mr. Speaker, until then, I'm the one asking the questions. There's a petition out there, 2 million people asking him to go.
Another journalist pressed the same issue, narrowing the question in hopes of securing a clearer response. Yet Keir Starmer replied once again without clarity, offering words that sounded substantial, but ultimately lacked coherence and meaningful detail.
Forgivable. You said borders are one of your top 2 priorities. You put tackling small boats into your mission promises before the election, adding it to your 5 missions. And yet on the banners behind you, there's nothing there. In the 6 milestones of measurement, there's nothing there. So you have not given the public one metric on which to measure you when it comes to migration. Is that because you fear failure, or is it because you said it was a priority to win, but actually it's not even in your top?
At his Plan for Change event, Keir Starmer faced sharp criticism for leaving immigration out of the 6 measurable milestones he unveiled, despite previously ranking it among his top 2 priorities. This striking omission, combined with his evasive replies to direct questions, highlighted a troubling lack of clarity and accountability on an issue that remains central to British political debate. Before we continue, are you enjoying the video? If so, please like and share it, and subscribe to our channel for more exclusive coverage of the groundbreaking changes unfolding on Offscript. Now let's continue. Starmer's reluctance to engage meaningfully with the subject raised serious doubts about his sincerity and the strategy behind his rhetoric. A journalist challenged him on the inconsistency, pointing out that Labour had placed heavy emphasis on immigration before the election, promising action on small boat crossings and stronger border control. The question directly asked whether immigration had been omitted because of fear of failure, or whether it had never truly been a priority at all, merely a campaign slogan designed to win votes. Starmer's response failed to ease those concerns. Once again, he struggled to provide a clear answer, drifting into unrelated points. His unease was visible, and many watching could sense the nervousness behind the words.
No, Beth, the way we've constructed it is that there are foundational things that a government must do, and they are based on security. So national security is obvious, but border security is equally obvious in my view. And that's why I've said we are committed to bringing down immigration, both legal and illegal. We must stop people crossing in boats across the Channel, and we have to get to grips with the volume of regular migration we have in this country. The statistics last week were shocking. Net migration of nearly 1 million, quadrupled in just 4 short years. It is the duty of government to bring that down. It is our duty to do it, and that's why I said it out in my speech, that that is what we would do, and we will do it.
If immigration were truly a top priority, why was it not given the same prominence as clean energy or housing? By failing to set even a single measurable benchmark for judging his performance on immigration, Keir Starmer has effectively insulated himself from future accountability. Such avoidance could carry political consequences, as voters are unlikely to be satisfied with broad reassurances on an issue they care deeply about. And it is not only Starmer facing scrutiny. He and his entire party are being challenged daily in the House of Commons, particularly on matters such as the economy and immigration, where pressure continues to mount.
They are laughing the same way they all laughed during the budget when they talked about raising NI. They have no idea what people out there are dealing with. And that is why That is why yesterday we voted against his damaging jobs tax. Even former supporters, Chef Tom Kerridge, who endorsed Labour at the election, said that the budget was catastrophic. He built a real business employing young people, unlike his cabinet of trade union stooges, CV embellishers, and an actual fraudster. None of them have ever run a business. Why won't he listen to business who are saying his budget is catastrophic?
Even the milestones within his plan for change have been challenged in the House of Commons. Keir Starmer pledged to deliver the highest living standards and the fastest economic growth in the G7. Yet critics argue that the broader economic reality tells a far more complicated story.
Higher living standards in every region of the country as we target the highest sustained growth in the G7. So working people have more money in their pocket.
In the House of Commons, Keir Starmer was intensely grilled over that pledge, facing direct challenges about how he intends to deliver on those bold economic promises.
The Prime Minister has discarded his own Labour leadership promises. He's dropped the 5 missions he said would define his government. He's ditched his pledge to make Britain the fastest growing economy in the G7. We left office with UK the fastest growing economy in the G7. And business is saying he has damaged the economy with his budget. Tomorrow he's going to have an emergency reset, Mr. Speaker, just 5 months into his premiership. But why should anyone believe a word he says?
But the pressure did not stop there. The head of a civil servants union has written directly to Keir Starmer, urging him to reconsider the language he used about public officials. During his Plan for Change event, Starmer sparked controversy with remarks widely viewed as dismissive and demoralizing toward civil servants. His claim that too many people in Whitehall were comfortable in the tepid bath of managed decline drew sharp criticism from Dave Penman, the leader of the Senior Civil Servants Union.
Drive reform through the public sector. It's not about making the government look good. So yes, they are risky for us. Country first, party second. Because that is something we've totally lost sight of in British politics. And to be honest, across Whitehall as well. I don't think there's a swamp to be drained here. But I do think that too many people in Whitehall are comfortable in the tepid bath of managed decline, have forgotten, to paraphrase JFK, that you choose change not because it's easy, but because it's hard.
Dave Penman described Starmer's remarks as frankly insulting, drawing comparisons to the divisive rhetoric of populist leaders like Donald Trump. The backlash has sparked concern not just among civil servants, but within Starmer's own government, raising questions about his leadership style and his ability to maintain a productive relationship with the civil service. In a strongly worded letter, Penman, representing 20,000 senior civil servants, urged Keir Starmer to reconsider the impact of his words. He highlighted the enormous challenges civil servants have faced over the past decade, from managing the complexities of Brexit, the COVID-19 pandemic, to the war in Europe, all following years of austerity and political instability marked by for prime ministers and numerous ministerial changes. These pressures have left the civil service stretched and under-resourced. Penman criticized Starmer's portrayal of civil servants as obstacles to reform, arguing that their ability to deliver meaningful change has often been constrained by political indecision and limited budgets. Drawing on Starmer's own background as a former civil servant and director of the Crown Prosecution Service, Penman reminded him that collaboration and trust, not public criticism, are the foundation of effective reform. When questioned about the backlash, Starmer attempted to balance acknowledgement of civil servants' value with his call for modernization. He praised their dedication to public service while reiterating the need for reforms, including the adoption of technologies like AI to improve governance. However, his response failed to address the deeper criticism that his words had alienated a workforce essential to implementing his ambitious agenda. Later, a spokesperson for Starmer dismissed comparisons to Trumpian rhetoric, insisting the remarks were meant to set a clear direction for government. Yet this defense did little to allay concerns that his approach contradicts the collaborative leadership style he had promised. Some of his own ministers are reportedly unsettled, fearing antagonizing civil servants could hinder progress on critical reforms. A senior labor source clarified that Starmer intended the speech to energize the government as a whole and unify Whitehall under a single strategy. Think tanks, including the Institute for Government, warned that such blunt criticism risks disillusioning civil servants rather than motivating them to embrace change. What do you think? Would Starmer's plan for change yield meaningful results, or are these merely surface-level promises meant to show he is working? Share your thoughts in the comment section below on whether you believe the Labour Party and Starmer have failed, and whether a fresh general election should be called. If you want to watch more videos like this, please like and share, and subscribe for more updates on Off Script and the events shaping British politics.